this is the place for you. No need to complicate it, it's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken. If you need truth, this is the place for you. No need to complicate it, it's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
And shalom to each and every one of you here today. Yahweh be praised for all things done and spoken. And it's a wonderful day, opportunity to know Elohim and the goodness and the power of his grace and his mercy. And you, beloved, are here today because man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. Good to have you with us. Those of you on YouTube, I am not seeing a Facebook gather and a Facebook flow. I wonder why. Those of you who are on Facebook, let me know that you're able to get on Facebook, or has Facebook done something, or has somebody messed with the Facebook and messed up the Facebook. There you go. I see you, Minister Jackie. Okie dokie. Because I'll be like touching stuff, and I know I'll be messing stuff up sometimes. I don't want to mess it up. All right. Good to have you all with us today. Let's get started. We do want to make sure those of you who are with us on Facebook and on our live visual streams, would you please do us a favor? If you're on Facebook, like the page VWJ Ministries on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube. And I need you to like, subscribe, make a comment, as well as hit that notification bell at the top of the screen for wherever we go live on these beautiful stations. And that is known as the Clubhouse. Moderators, I'm gonna need y'all to, when I mod y'all, make y'all mods. Sorry about that. Mods. Y'all do what y'all do, mods. All righty. And those of you who are getting on our Facebook, hit the like sign of the page, then go into the thread and make a comment in the thread. Let me know where you're from. I see you out there in the UK. Good to have you with us from London. All right. Great to see you. Great to see you. I see you out there, Popka. And I also see you out there, Altamont. Good to see you guys. Good to have y'all. Well, we got a lot to talk about in a short period of time to do so in. So let's get right into the writ and the word, which is what Yahweh our Elohim would have us to know, embrace, and understand. So the Bible declares that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. So we come to you today in an earnest prayer, and let us begin it at this time. Father, we thank you for your word, your will, your plan. We thank you for your purpose. We're asking you to be with us, in us, through us, and toward us for your name's sake and praise. There is none like you in all of the earth, and we're asking you to grace us with your wisdom and your understanding, for there is no place we can go that will ever be outside of your view and your peripheral. So therefore, we come before you, opening our hearts under the light of your salvation, under the light of your word, to bring us into the straightness of you. We want to live. We live by your word. And we know that you have given us an expectation of righteousness. And we desire in our whole heart to figure out what it is you desire of us by going into your word, understanding your purpose and your plan for our lives, in the matchless and in the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach. We do ask this, trusting in you, believing that you alone have given us all things pertinent to that righteousness. And we seek it from your word. We seek it through your will. And we take opportunity to confess you alone are holy. You alone are righteous to us. And we magnify your dynamic name. In this moment, we ask you to commandeer our vessels, commandeer our souls, commandeer our hearts. I decrease everything that is VW, that your will, your word, your plan can increase in this land with these your people, that we might know you in the rightness of your spirit. This we say and pray in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, who many know as Jesus the Christ. We say, Amen. All right. Well, we've been talking to you guys for the last few days about the series, The Expectation of Righteousness. This is actually part 3. So we did 3 verses or 3 chapters out of the book of Romans, one of the most prolific books written for, I would think the best way to say it, theology. So a theologian is one who thinks about the ways and the things of God. We have certain resident theologians or sages of the writ, such as the Apostle Paul, who may be dead to us, but his words about the God he has now understood since his road to Damascus experience, he left with us, and they resonate very loudly and very clearly with us. And that is something that's being done forever and a time. So now let's get right into Romans chapter number 12. Moderators, please bring everybody up, give them microphones. I want to hear everybody's thoughts and cues on this today. So those of you in our VIP section and seating, we want to let you know I'm sending you an invitation to come up and grab a microphone. It's just not some moderator coming at you so they can follow you and get more likes on their page. We are literally coming and letting you know it's me. So grab your microphones and come on up. You don't have to use it, but should you desire to use it, then you understand that we are here to communicate with you in the portion that becomes a dialogue when I finish my monologue. All right, let's get started. Let's get going in these particular studies. So part one, we talked about in a lot of ways that Elohim's expectation of righteousness is in Romans chapter 8, man shall not live, or I should say, pardon me, Romans chapter 8, verse 1. I'll put it on the screen so you can catch it, and then we'll skim through to get to Romans 10. Romans chapter 8, verse 1 lets us know there is therefore now no condemnation to them who are in Yeshua HaMashiach, those who walk not after the flesh, but they walk after the Spirit. But the spirit of the law, verse 2 says, for the law of the Spirit of life, which is found in Yeshua HaMashiach, has made me free from the law of sin and death. Again, verse 2 tells you about two different laws. There's a law of the Spirit of life, and that is the word of Elohim. And then there is the law of sin and death, which is contradiction to the word of Elohim when you don't obey the word of Elohim, and now you are subject to the law of death, the law of separation from the life giver. Okay, verse 3 again, verse 3, for what the law could not do, the Torah could not do, the word of Elohim could not do for you, because you let your flesh take the best. You were weak through the flesh. Your flesh was very weak, trying to hold up the word. Your soul was weak because your flesh weighted it down with ideas and concepts that would say, hey, I know the law says this, but we really want to do this. So what the word could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, Elohim sent his own son, the word, in flesh, in the form of in the likeness of sinful flesh. And for sin, Elohim let the word condemn sin in the flesh suit. Verse 4, that the righteousness of the Torah might be in fact fulfilled in us, who desire to walk not after our flesh, but after the Spirit of life that is in Yeshua HaMashiach, which, by the way, made us free from sin. Verse 5, and we'll be finishing chapter 8 with this. For they that are after the flesh, they do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit of life in Yeshua HaMashiach, they mind the things of the Spirit, which was in Yeshua HaMashiach. All right. And let me just go to verse 6 and make it good. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life. And then shalom. All right. Now that's chapter number 8. We reviewed that for 2 days. Let's go to chapter number 9. I say truth. Verse 1. I say the truth is in Messiah. What was inside of Messiah? If anybody knows what was inside of Messiah, I want you to type it into the thread on YouTube and Facebook and on Clubhouse. Type this in. The truth is the word, all caps word, all caps word, or you can say Adonai. The truth that was in Yeshua is the word. The truth that was in Yeshua is Adonai, the word of Elohim. Therefore, Paul says, I'm speaking truth, which was in Yeshua. Therefore, I know I lie not. Verse number 9. I'm going to read it again. So those of you who took the time to type that in, I want to say thank you. Thank you. I see y'all obeying. That's very good. Hey, Karen Cole, I'm good to see you. I want y'all to catch this, though. I want you to understand this. Shalona, I miss you desperately. All right. So I want y'all to catch this one. Verse 3. For I wish, verse 1, I say the truth in Messiah. Therefore, I do not lie. My consciousness also bears me witness in the Ruach HaKodesh, because the word in me draws the Holy Spirit. The word Adonai in me draws Ruach HaKodesh. So when y'all sang that song, it's the God in me, That means you had to have the word in you. All right, verse 2 says that I have great heaviness and continued sorrow in my soul, for I wish that myself could be cursed from Messiah for my brethren, so they could be drawn in, because my kin, verse 3 again, for I could wish that myself were accursed from Messiah for my brethren's sake, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertains the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the Torah, which is the power of life, and the service of Elohim through the Torah, and the promises of Elohim, which were found in the Torah, whose, by the way, those people that I'm a part of are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Messiah came. Messiah, who is now over all because of Adonai in him, Elohim has blessed that entity forever. Amen. Now, many of you say, my Bible don't read that way, Mr. Apostle, man, but I promise you that is the intent. I'll reread it again slow for you to get it. Verse 3, I could wish that myself were accursed from Messiah for my brother's sake, my kinsmen, who are according to the flesh, not my brothers in the faith, my brothers of my bloodline. Verse 4, who, by the way, as I explained, are Israelites, to whom pertains the adoption and the glory and the covenants, and who the Torah was given to, and the service of the tabernacle, the things of God were given to them, as well as the promises of Elohim were to be demonstrated through them, whose are the fathers. Don't forget that word. And whom, as concerning the flesh, because they couldn't win, their flesh was still getting the best of them, Messiah came, who is now, because of his death, burial, and resurrection, he is over all things. Elohim has baraked him forever. Amen. All right. Now, so we understand this conversation today is talking about the expectation of righteousness, part 3. Now, if you did not find the overview we just did of verses chapters 8 and chapter 9, then chapter 10 is going to be weird to you unless you go back and read the very detailed breakdowns we did for chapter 8 in 2 sessions and chapter 9 in a full, whole, blown out session. You'll be blessed and edified when you get into that. So let's get into chapter 10 so I can move through quickly. But remember, you can go back on BWJ Ministries on YouTube or on Facebook or on Clubhouse, and you can get these for free. You can just go back and view them for free. You don't have to leave an offering. You don't have to give anything. Just go and learn. I just want you to give your attention. Can we get y'all to do something? If you want to pay anything to the ministry, pay attention. It don't cost you anything. It does cost you the most valuable thing on the planet, your time. And that is valuable. And when you pay attention, you'll now know what to do and how to do it rightly. Remember, man don't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh our Elohim. And if you pay attention to that, you'll always have success and victory. Yes, victory shall be yours. All right, now let's get into Romans chapter 10. That's why we here, part 3. Let's get this done. Let's get over. Brethren, Paul says, verse 1, Romans chapter 10. Look at it very closely. I hope y'all sharing this on your YouTube and on your Facebook. I hope you're sharing it in your Clubhouse. I hope you're commenting and giving us some activity on our threads to keep this thing going so attention can be given and our algorithms can get others who are like you attracted to this type of teaching, which therefore you don't have to go say a word. You just did a keystroke and I'll do all the talking. Verse 1, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for Israel. Now, remember in chapter 9, look what he said in chapter 9. Look at chapter 9. He says, I speak the truth and I don't lie. I have a great heaviness and continually in my heart, because I wish that I could actually die for my brothers, like Messiah died for us, because they're Israelites and they got all the promises, the covenants that was given to them, and they messed it up. I wish I could die for them. Look at what he says in chapter 10. Brethren, my heart's desire and my prayer to Elohim for Israel is that Israel might be saved. Wait a minute, Apostle. Are you trying to tell me that Israel in that day for Paul is the parallel and the very familiar look that we have called our own fellowships and churches? So Paul is saying, I would to Elohim that Israel be saved. So I can say I would for Christendom that Christendom be saved, because they know all the stuff, but they not living it. They say they understand and do all this theology and got all these classes, do all these ceremonies, got all these services, do all these different things, but they not saved. I would to Elohim, I got longing in my heart continually so that Israel, Paul says, might be saved, so that Christendom, VW says, might be saved. And we doing everything thinking it's salvation, and most of the stuff we don't think is salvation has nothing to do with you not being or being saved. And then the stuff we think we're doing in church, because the preacher, the pastor, the apostle, the prophetess has said, oh, God said this is a sin. Everything you do is supposed to be based on his word. And you can't think your righteousness, your self-made righteousness, your denomination's made righteousness causes you to be saved. There will be PSA. There will be a PSA I render right now. There will be a lot of Christians that will not make it into heaven. I mean, a slew of them. I mean, like a heaping, whole helping, double serving, helping, triple serving, helping of people sitting and lining pews, preaching in pulpits, singing on microphones. And I am not exempt from the opportunity to not make heaven my home. Neither are you. Don't you dare ever think you're narrowed behind, or I think my narrow behind am exempt from missing heaven, no matter how much righteousness I post on Facebook, YouTube, IG, Snapchat, wherever you are, TikToking, wherever you doing, however many crusades you got, however many Evites you got for a prophecy and a camp of learning how to speak in tongues and all these different things. I don't care how many people you have read the Bible to, preached to, gone to the hospital, laid hands on, prayed back from the dead, so you think, and all these other things you've done. Do not think for one moment that's your salvation. Not one moment do you think that that is how you're saved. I'm like Paul right now. I cry and I long that Christendom and all these antics and geriatrics, I should say, pardon me, calisthenics that we do, these Christian and church calisthenics, from one denomination to the next denomination, from Protestant Christianity to Catholic Christianity, from Orthodox Judaism to Messianic Judaism, to every other faith system that says it knows Yeshua HaMashiach. My prayer is for not only you all and them all, but myself included, that we might be saved. That's why the series is called The Expectation of Righteousness, not your present day demonstration of righteousness. It's the last of the series, so I'm coming for us today. So look at what he says here. Paul says, listen, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim is for Israel, that we might be saved. And the fact that you go to church, you wear a cross with a under your pec, you got a collar on, you got a robe on, you wearing a homemade tallit, you wearing a homemade, any kind of robe you think is righteous, and got a hat on your head with two split tongues, like a split tongue. I've never understood that hat, by the way. I want y'all to understand this, and I don't care who you are wearing it. Y'all take that hat off until you do the history on it. That hat is Catholic. That hat has two pieces that come out of it. It's not one for heaven and one for hell. It is a split tongue. You put it on a hat and put it over your head. And biblically speaking, a double-minded man would indict a double-tongued man, is unstable in all of his ways. Let not that man think he shall receive anything from Elohim. Be careful what you brandish. Now, you want to be here for this coming, I think, Wednesday. I'm opening up another new series on the cross. Is it the passion of our Messiah? Is it really? How does it line up with the writ? How does it line up with the instructions? When did we get this cross? Is it idolatry? Is it paganism? Many people ask the question. Some people stay away from the question. Today, I've decided, last week, to break this open so you understand it, so that in all of your getting, you get understanding. I hope y'all will be here for Wednesday's broadcast, barring any technical glitches and issues, on the new series, The Cross. In all you're getting, get understanding. Now, back to this. Paul makes this statement, Romans chapter 10. Somebody say the expectation of righteousness. Come on, talk to me. Say the expectation of righteousness.
Expectation of righteousness.
So Romans chapter 10. Yeah, I hear y'all. That's good. That's good. Romans chapter 10, verse 1. My brethren, my heart's desire and my prayer for Elohim, to Elohim, is for Israel, that they might be saved. Paul knows that Israel is not saved, and Israel is not just the Jews. He's talking about even Samaria. He knows better. Verse 2 says, I bear the Israelis record that they got a zeal for Elohim, because that's what I was. Y'all know Paul had a zeal for Elohim, right? Paul was willing to crucify Yeshua. He was willing to kill anybody talking like Yeshua, because Yeshua, based on Israeli standards, was blasphemous. And as an Israeli, you don't blaspheme against Elohim. So Paul, having a zeal for righteousness, right, but not according to the knowledge of Elohim, he then said, Caiaphas, Gamaliel, and any other Pharisee, if you're saying that this person, Yeshua, is talking crazy now that we killed him, and he still have spawn out here, he still have offspring out here, he still have Talmudim out here, he still have disciples out here, I will sign up voluntarily to go and hunt them down, because you are not going to, what we not going to do is talk about my God wrong. What we not going to do is bring division in the temple that I was raised in. What we not going to do. So Caiaphas, I know y'all busy doing stuff, all things tabernacle. I might not be a Levite, but I was trained like a Levite. So if you will just give me papers to travel all over this region, so that when I go to a different country, you will say he is on official church business. And therefore, when I see people speaking outside of what we've taught here in this temple, what we've taught here as Israelites, what we've taught here as Jews, when I see anybody speaking that mess that this Jesus we said was blasphemous, and we put on trial, and we crucified, and we convicted, if I find anybody speaking what he's speaking, you give me the right. I do it voluntarily. You ain't got to pay me. Just send me some Levitical guards. So when I say that person is in error, I've proven that you don't know the Torah. I've proven that you don't know the Israeli way of life. How dare you speak about my God? My zeal will arrest them, bring them back here to y'all, and y'all can prosecute them and take them to judgment. If they die, they die. But I'm going to do what God said, because I got a zeal for God. But Paul said, I bear them record, because that's me. I'm that way. I bear my Israeli brothers record. That's why I pray for them, because we thought we were right. Y'all gonna get this broke down today if y'all like it or not. He says, I bear them, I bear any Israeli a record. I bear record of them. I am a witness to them. We thought we understood. That's why we crucified the Savior, because we thought we were right in our version of righteousness. I bear them record that we have a zeal for Elohim. How you think Paul felt when he hit the road to Damascus and Adonai showed up to him to introduce Yeshua to him? It's like, bruh, I know you love me, but you blowing it. What you mean, Lord? Who are you? It's me, Yeshua HaMashiach. You mean you are? And I've been trying to, and I done killed Stephen, and I done held, and I done arrested, and I done did, and I'm searching right now for people who, you mean you are of Elohim for real, for real? Oh, snap. Yeah. Now let me reset your mind. He blinds him. Yeah, I know y'all not heard the story this way, but this is the way it really goes. He blinds Saul, he blinds Paul, and now says, get up. Paul says, okay, when I get up, watch this. What would you have me do, master? Who are you, Lord? When he goes down, it is I, Yeshua. I am inside of Yeshua, and the people that Yeshua taught you're searching for, we raised them for our purpose, and you have a zeal for me, but you don't have it according to understanding. You don't have it according to knowledge. So now let me fill you in, Mr. Paul, man. You're persecuting the God you love. It's hard to kick against them pricks, son. Okay, Lord, now I know who you are. Lord, what would you have me to do? See, when you read it that way, it hits completely different. But we too busy trying to be like church. So now Paul says, I got to bet. Look at verse number 1. I'll give it to you again. Look at verse number 1. If y'all learn anything, give me some emojis. I need excitement and activity on my pages. Y'all gonna have to give me heart signs, like signs, bombs, fire sticks, fire, hands raised, hands clapping. God is good. Hallelujah. Wow moments, brain blows, anything but a Pinocchio. Okay. What I'm saying, just put it out there. So watch this. Yeah, I'm asking for it. Yes, I am. I'm asking for it. I want some activity on my page. So the expectation of righteousness is deep. Look at what he says here, Romans chapter 10, verse 1. Brothers, he's talking now to those in the faith. He says, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer for Israel. Is Paul not an Israeli? Y'all talk to me real quick.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Yes, he is.
Somebody say Paul is of Israel. Say that.
Paul is of Israel. Paul is of Israel.
So is Paul praying for him and his people? Paul's like, my heart's desire is that Israel be saved. Verse 2, because I bear record, we botched it up. We messed it up. I bear them record because we have a zeal for Elohim, but not according to knowledge. Man, what an indictment. Verse 3 says, for they, like I was, are ignorant of Elohim's righteousness. And then we went about to establish our own righteousness. And because of our own righteousness, we have not submitted unto Elohim's righteousness. If y'all read in Romans 10:3 under this series, the expectation for righteousness, and you just read verse 3 and it opened your eyes, or at least your nostrils, will you say, wow, please? You ain't got to, but it'd be good to go ahead and get that out while you got a minute.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Verse number 3 again. Let me read verses 1 through 3 again.
Wow.
My brethren, those of the same faith as me, my heart's desire, my Jewish brothers in Rome, my heart's desire, verse 1, Romans 10:1 is on the screen. I want you to look at it while I commentate for you. Not commentate, exegete for you. There's a difference in commentating and exegeting. We're going to exegete and extrapolate truth from this so you can understand it finally. Verse number 10, chapter 10, verse 1. He says, brethren, my heart's desire and my prayer to Elohim of Israel is for Israel, that they might be saved. Because Israel thinks they're saved. Hey, y'all, look at me on screen. Look at me on screen. Can y'all see me? If y'all can see my eyes, put up an eye emoji. Hurry up, I'll wait. Hurry up. Put up an eye emoji. Look and give me the eye emoji. Give me the eye. Hurry up. If y'all on Clubhouse, give me the eye emoji. Hurry up, y'all. Hurry up. I gotta go. Y'all slow me down. Come on. If you see me, you see me. Okay, Daphne see me. Janice see me. Leslie see me. Okay, give me the eye emoji. Who got the eye emoji? Okay, Doreen see me. Okay, come on, Clubhouse. Ain't nobody else see me? Okay, Wanda see me. Watch this. Listen to y'all. Paul said something that y'all need to pay attention to. Verse number 2. He says, for I bear them record. They have a zeal for righteousness. They have a zeal of God. But verse 1 says, verse 1, my desire and prayer for Israel is that they might be saved. I bear them record that they have a zeal for Elohim, but not according to knowledge. Israel is not saved, yet Israel is responsible for showing the world Elohim. Look at me in my eyes. There's a strong possibility your church ain't saved, but they got a zeal for God. Carry on. And I'm not talking about other churches. I'm talking about the religious sector in general. I'm not telling you don't go to church. I'm not telling you not to be a part of a group. I'm not telling you not to be a part of a denomination. I'm telling you, as Paul says, my brothers who I know are good people intentionally, but with this thing about knowing who Elohim is, we done messed up. My prayer, now that I've had the road to Damascus experience, now that I have come to see the truth, now that I realize in my religious mess, in my religiousness, I was messed up and didn't even know it. But I was at church every day. I was at service every time it went on. I did not know what I did not know. And now that I know what I did not know, I hope my other brothers come to know it now too. Because they're not saved. That's what Paul is saying, y'all. Israel, though they have everything about Elohim, is not saved. So I'm telling you right now, as a prophet of Elohim, no matter how you see me in error from my past or in error in my present or in error in my future, wherever you see me as a prophet of Elohim who speaks only his word, I promise you I do, you must understand, just like Paul, my biggest prayer for Christians, my brothers in the faith, the pulpits I've preached from, pulpits I've preached in, pulpits I've had preach in my pulpit, all of my peers and colleagues and theologians and all that you possess, my prayer is not only for them, but for me, is that we in Christendom be saved. And I don't think many of us are. And I do mean more than not. Not because you believe like I believe, but that you believe enough in the expectations of Elohim's righteousness to do his righteousness over your churches, vision statement or mission statement, or your pastor's dream of how big he's going to be or she's going to be or they're going to be in the community. We're going to put up these many churches all over the world. We're going to go feed people in every third world nation. That's not salvation. That's charity, which is a part of the kingdom's way of operating. But you can't get into heaven because you fed the homeless. My prayer, Paul's prayer. Paul says, Israel be saved. The parallel today for us is Christendom be saved. I bear them record. I'm in church with them all the time. I hang out with them everywhere we go, and I can bear you record. I can be a witness to tell you right now. We are ignorant. Verse 2. Look at verse 2, Romans 10:2. I bear them record that they have a zeal for Elohim, but not according to knowledge. Is this hitting home to anybody? Is this stepping on any toes? Is this putting a newspaper on anybody's nose? Is this mom grabbing your ears and telling you to get over here? Is this just doing anything to anybody but me? Because there's a strong possibility all your church activity when you should pass away and go see the Father won't add up to you getting through those pearly gates. Man don't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Elohim. This is not condemnation speech or spew. This is confirmation speech of we have done some stuff. Watch what Paul says. Paul says in verse number 2, for I bear record that they have a zeal for Elohim. Does anybody agree that Paul could definitely bear record that they got a zeal for Elohim? Anybody?
Yes, he does.
Moderators, please watch my moderators. Please take my board. Never mind, I got it. If I see it, I should do it. So I got it. Don't worry about it. My brethren, for they have, verse 2, for I bear my brother's witness, I bear witness of Israel that we have had and do have a zeal for Elohim, but we don't know Elohim. Can y'all see how this reads now? Does that hit different for anybody? It is a real question. Okay, y'all at work. All right, so I'll keep reading. Verse 3, for they, the ones I once saved, and myself, having been ignorant, verse 3, having been ignorant of Elohim's righteousness. And on top of that, going about to establish their own righteousness, my brothers in Israel and myself at one time, did not submit themselves unto the righteousness of Elohim. Does this read different for anybody right now? If I just need one to get it, and y'all, I've done my job. For they being, verse 3, for they being ignorant of the righteousness of Elohim, going about with their churchiosity and their temple worship and their religious services, they went about to establish their own righteousness. He's talking about the Gadol Kohanim, the Levites. He's talking about the temple worship. He's talking about Caiaphas. He's talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They have gone about and established their own righteousness, and they have not, because I now know, have not submitted. Paul says, I come through the road to Damascus. Adonai came to me, showed me Yeshua, showed me my wrong. I know for a fact. In those back rooms, we talked about Yeshua. In those back rooms, we talked about Peter and Paul. In those back rooms, we wanted to get them and had them all hung and strapped up and flogged. I know for a fact now, after my road to Damascus experience, they've gone about their own righteousness and have not submitted unto the righteousness of Elohim. Verse 4 says, for Messiah, who we crucified, is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believes. Now, let me clear this up. Can I talk clean to y'all? I need y'all permission to talk to y'all. I know y'all busy working, but give me a thumbs up. Let me know I can go with y'all and tell y'all this right here. Verse 4. It's going to change some stuff. It's going to affect how you see it. This is going to be what you must understand about the righteousness of Elohim as opposed to the righteousness we've been running around here. Do y'all know that the fact that you have a Baptist and a Methodist and a Presbyterian and a Lutheran, just that, y'all hear me talk about these denominations all the time. But do you know the fact that we have those divisions means that someone is doing their own version of righteousness? These words Paul preaching weren't just for Israel. They are priceless and timeless even today as a parallel. Why, if we are Protestant Christians? Okay, fine. We know that Catholicism, Christianity got protested against by Martin Luther. It divided. Roman Catholic Christendom solidified their position, became a solid group again. Those that splintered off became Protestant Christians. Okay, I'm just giving you history. I'm just giving you factual history. They became Protestant Christians, and then the Protestant Christians, having now split from the Roman Catholic version of Christianity and religiosity, they were Protestant Christians, and then suddenly somebody don't like baptism, so they came up with a new method to baptize. That's why you have the Methodist versus the Baptist. Most Christians I'm talking to right now on this platform had no clue about that. Now you know. That's why they're called Methodists. They found a new method for baptism because their viewpoint of baptism as in the faith they think is wrong and unfair to invalids and babies. So they have a method of sprinkling for baptism as opposed to dunking for baptism. So they have a zeal for the things of God, but they are running in their own right way of pleasing God. That's what your own righteousness means. I broke that down so simple. I hope y'all just go ahead and do the rewind and pay attention to this in the rewind. I know I'm speaking fast. I know I talk fast. So sometimes you got to go back and listen to it again. If you got to slow it down, or listen to it 5 times until it clicks. Paul is not speaking anything from Ancient of Days and just sticks in the Ancients of Days. That which he is speaking has affected and carried over had affected all and carried over unto even this day. Paul says in verse number 3, they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness, not knowing the Torah, not honoring the Torah, even though they had it, they having not the righteousness of Elohim, went about to establish their own righteousness. So when the Protestant movement happened, the protest of Roman Catholicism happened, the Protestant Christians started dividing. You now got Baptists, you got Methodists. Oh, shoot, that got ugly. Now you got First Baptist and Second Baptist. Now you got UAME, UME, CME. Now you got Lutheran, Wesleyan, all of them going about to establish their own righteousness, denomination. Hit different now, don't it?
Yes, it does, Apostle. Hitting hard, Apostle.
Verse 3, for they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness have gone about to establish their own righteousness and have not submitted themselves to the righteousness of Elohim. So when we come back and say, hey, y'all, yeah, great that y'all buildings are nice and big and you got the steeple and you got people coming in, you got the soup kitchen, you got the homeless shelter. That's wonderful. Woo! Yeah. But are we saved? Well, we ain't got to do that stuff. That's from the Old Testament. That's for the Jews. Okay, but the word of Elohim says, do this perpetually in all of your dwellings forever. Yeah, but that was just for the Jews. Well, what about the word forever? What about the practicality of the functionality? Is it not doable? Yeah, it's doable, but we don't sacrifice animals anymore. Did you think that was about animals, or did you think that was about monetary issues? Because that's what money was to them. It cost them something. The purpose of sin and sacrifice was that it cost you something, or it caused you to invest something. Because Elohim's into pruning. Elohim's into horticulture. If you prune the first fruits, he gives you more fruit. So it's sacrifice about some penitence and some pettiness about causing you to ruminate and become depressed, or is sacrifice about an investment so that Elohim can show that you are faithful over the few things so he can make you ruler over much. Is this what we're missing because we have gone about our own righteousness and we're justifying our own actions and whether we should do it or not? Are we understanding his righteousness before we go placate and propagate our own and then tell the world, do this? Because Paul says, I've been a Jew all my life. I've been Israeli all my life, and I can prove to you, we're not doing what Elohim said. So much so, I'm one of the only ones who signed up voluntarily, wrote my own job description, and told the high priest, I'll go get this joker who everybody's been talking about, and I'll go get any of his disciples. Well, Yeshua's dead now. He says, I'll go get any of the disciples of this Yeshua guy we hung on a tree, and I'll bring them back here for you to judge them and hang them too. Paul says, I know from being inside the back secret channels where they talking about all that's going on. I know for a fact we have a zeal for God. We just think what we're doing is for God. And in fact, we've augmented Elohim's word so bad. Our expectation of Elohim's righteousness has been dressed up, veneered, and put into some form of, how do we say, garb that looks like righteousness, but it's our version of it. And I now know that because while I thought I was seeking Elohim, I'm on the road to Damascus. I got some preachers with me. Yes, I'm breaking this down for modern day tell of this story. I'm on my road to Damascus, Paul is saying. I've got some Levites with me who's serious about God, the way the temple taught it. And we're going to go stop these jokers from dividing the church and the nation that we believe God said to build. And this stuff that Yeshua guy was teaching brings division to our churches. Even though he said he didn't come to bring peace to what y'all was doing, he came to bring a sword. We ain't having that sword cut us up after he's dead. So we're going to put an end to these little daggers he left on the planet. So we're going to go get them, bring them back here, dull their shine, dull their cutting ability, and we're going to make sure that what we believe about God stands. And Paul says, I was down with that so tough, I signed up without anybody asking me. So I know we got a zeal for God because I thought I was protecting God. I thought I was protecting Elohim. I thought I was protecting Yahweh. I thought I was protecting Adonai. And while I'm on the road to Damascus with some priests that are with me, some Levites that are with me, we're going to go arrest anybody talking about what Yeshua was talking about. And then we had a moment that we all would give glory to God for. We had a moment while we were on the road to Damascus, and our God came to us while we going to get these guys. And clearly we felt like, oh, God is with us too. Shoot, we got to get all of them jokers, because where the light is, this great light that shone round about them, and they got on the ground like, hey, I know that light. That's Adonai. Hey, Adonai, my master, my Lord, how are you? Wait a minute, who are you? It is me. It's Adonai. You right, but let me introduce you. Let me reintroduce myself to you, Paul, and you Levites. That's right. Stay bowed down. Look at the dirt, because it's going to connect you to something. Keep your face on the dirt and listen. He that hath an ear, let him hear. So Paul and you Levites, this is the DWJ translation. Paul and you Levites, y'all really coming for my defense, huh? Y'all really trying to back me up. Well, listen to this, son. Okay, Adonai, let me reintroduce myself. Well, who are you, Adonai? I can feel your presence. I'm with you. So glad you're with us. You know we're on our way to get those people who were blaspheming against you. Caiaphas said we can go and do it. And all the Pharisees, most of them anyway, they said we can go and do it. That Nicodemus guy, he ran off, and so we got traitors in the camp. So we trying to shut down all these people trying to start an insurrection in Israel, in Judea. Even though we under Rome, we still want to make sure that these people get shut down, so we don't have that to deal with and Rome to deal with. So Adonai, we're so glad you came along this trip with us, and you done stopped us and set us down so we can learn what you want to introduce. He said, well, let me introduce myself. Let me reintroduce myself to you, Paul. Who are you, Lord? It is mine, Yeshua. Yeshua is the body I was wearing in the earth. You're trying to arrest my disciples, Paul. Your zeal is inaccurate. So since you were seeing with the eyes of temple worship, since you were seeing with the eyes of your rabbinical laws, since you were seeing with the eyes of a watered down Torah, you could not see the concentrated Torah when he was alive. And now you're trying to kill his offspring, which we are sanctioning. Paul, let me blind you to reopen your eyes. That's why Paul said, beloved, I beseech you, my dear brethren, by the mercies of Elohim. He could have killed me on the road to Damascus while I was going to search down people preaching him. The mercy of Elohim was extended to me is enormous. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you and I present ourselves and our bodies living sacrifices. Let's make sure we keep the feast. Let's make sure we present ourselves on the days we're supposed to present ourselves. Let us, watch this. Let us not forsake the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is. Let us present our bodies a living sacrifice at the Moedim, and that's the schedule, because that's our reasonable service. That's what the Torah says. I beg you, and be not conformed to this world. We got to be transformed by the renewing of the information we've been thinking we've known religiously. We have to be renewed by the transforming of our mind. All that information from the Torah, the Halakha, the Mishnah, the Talmud, all that we were taught by the rabbinical sages, all that stuff, we got to filter it through the word and find out where we went left. And Paul did that for 3 years. And when he came back, guess whose camp he went to? Did he go to Caiaphas? No, he went right to Kepha, James, and John, and they gave him the right hand of fellowship because his eyes are now open. I pray now for Israel, because I am typical Israel. Paul says that they are now saved, because I know it's going to be hard for them to transition to this. I say the same thing today about Christianity, because you're rooted and grounded in Christianity. Guess what I got to do, y'all? I got to do part 3, part 2 of part 3. Are y'all okay with that?
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Yes, we're okay with it.
Y'all just like free stuff. I want to talk to people who ain't just getting the free stuff. And I know y'all love the free stuff. I'm messing with y'all. Does anybody else, other than the people that called you, because y'all know they call y'all my flunkies. They be like, yeah, they got them people on there answering. He be just having people. Y'all should hear the stuff I see in my emails and my inboxes. I promise y'all, if I told y'all, y'all be upset about the stuff they didn't call y'all. Some of y'all, I'm like, the one guy said they all got bad breath. It's a good thing they on microphone. I'm like, how'd you know they got bad breath, bro? Why would you talk about these people? Listen, so y'all don't know. I'm telling you. So I want to hear from some people who are not supposedly our clonies, our flunkies. Anybody else care to see part 2 of part 3 of the Expectation of Righteousness, Romans chapter 10?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I asked for one, I got one. So I'm gonna have to do that. We'll do that on Friday. Matter of fact, should I close this series out or start the next series on the cross? Which one y'all want? Y'all want part 2 of this part 3, or do y'all want the series on the cross to start?
Yes, please. Both. Free, please. Finish this up and then do the other one.
Oh, finish this one up and then do the other one. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Cuffy.
What you got, Cuffy?
I don't even know. I mean, I know you know what you said, but like, whatever's best for you.
Hold on a second. Go ahead, Cuffy. Finish what you're saying.
I'm sorry, I can't even conjugate words well right now after what I just heard. So who cares what they're writing? Like, cause I can't even. I gotta listen to the replays. It hit me so hard. I'm breathless. Thank you, Apostle, for real.
Do y'all know I just dropped a whole bunch of stuff on y'all? That's why I had to back away and not do the whole thing. I can't finish it because breaking down Paul and what. Do y'all see Paul's road to Damascus differently now?
Absolutely. Did you? Oh my, yeah.
Because it's important to know what you're reading, so this way you know why Paul is writing to people. And unfortunately, we're not preaching the why he's writing. We're preaching how we want to connect his writings to what we want the church today to do. That's deep. Make that a quote. All righty. I don't have any more time. I got to get out of here. I got to let y'all go. Sorry to start so late. Technology messed us up, but I want to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to again come back in. I do want to start this series on the cross desperately. Minister Jackie says, understanding Paul's message of truth changes my perception. Anybody else feel that way?
Yes, I do.
Wanda Floyd says, this is so much that I have to listen again, but I love how you broke it down so we can understand it. Now, how many of y'all are like Wanda, Minister Wanda right now? And some of the others who probably can't say nothing because they're at work, but you know you just got to download. And I didn't expect to give y'all all of that in that caveat. It was not a plan. That's Ruach that commandeered the programming, because apparently some of y'all have a real sincere heart to learn. So when there's a real sincere heart to learn, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's when Ruach has the right to commandeer this vessel and share that information, because you are yearning for it. I can't see you, but he does. And then he uses the tool in front of you to get what you're yearning into you. However, y'all know we can get something because we yearning it and then not really have a full grasp on it and start walking with it, and can drop some and fall it out the car and it all hanging out the purse and all out the wallet, and we miss it. So go back over it because there's a lot in it. Paul's story, I wish that Christians would revisit. I wish that all would revisit the road to Damascus and what it means, but you can't revisit the road to Damascus if you don't understand that Adonai, not Jesus, was presented. Adonai introduced Yeshua, who Paul in the flesh has no respect for. but he does have respect for what's in Yeshua, and that's Adonai. Let that sink in. Now, when you start looking at it from that respect, when you start listening to it from that regard, now you see Paul's dilemma. Until you read it from Torah, you just read in New Testament church stuff from Christianity. And I now, like Paul, my greatest prayer to Elohim is that Christianity be saved. I really fear that's a pandemic in the world of Christendom. And many will die because we think we're saved. We have the ability, but we have so many searching their own way of righteousness. And the proof of how scary that is that none of us want to come to the table and say, okay, let me line up my doctrine with the word. You bring your doctrine. Let us reason together in the Torah, not the commentary of our favorite professor. Let's line up what we do in the Torah. Is 2 crackers and some purple smudge, is that in the Bible? Is it in the Torah? And if it's in the Bible, where do we see it and what is it connected to that gives us foundationalized posture? Until we do that, my prayer for Christendom, like my dear brother Paul here, is that Christendom be saved. See, there's an expectation in righteousness. I don't think we're meeting it. Now, it's just me, one humble, ignorant man, some people call me, with bad breath followers. I don't know how they can smell your breath on virtual technology. I don't get it. Y'all watch out. There might be some people with, little smelling devices in your houses checking your breath in your jobs. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. They're all in your phone.
IG.
I have to laugh and make fun because too often I cry. And that's why I understand Paul so well. Because we just don't get it. We think we do. It's been a joy and a pleasure. Man can't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh or Elohim. Paul did not come alive until Adonai in Yeshua spoke to him on the road to Damascus and then said, Paul, I was in this body walking the earth. I was planting in the earth. Now you're trying to kill the crop I should have. Now that's BWJ translation, and it doesn't take it out of content. Paul does not get off his horse for Jesus. He and those Levites got off of their horse because the presence of Adonai was on them. And Adonai introduced them to what they didn't understand. Before we leave off this broadcast, I need y'all to do me a favor. Type in a brain blow or a double exclamation mark or a bomb drop or a row of fire. Just give me a finger. I just need a couple of fingers to do some little walking on the keyboard. That's all I need to close out with. Yahweh, we thank you for the word today. We thank you for the opportunity to share. I will come back and complete part 2 of part 3. Part 2 of part 3. Wow. And then, Father, we're asking you to grace us with the wisdoms to understand this, embrace this, and drink this in. And those who will watch it on replay, let it be just as real and fervent for them, and unveiling of new caveats that they may have missed when they watched it live. And those who are watching it for the first time in the archives, I pray you, Yahweh, be with them, that they may learn and conceive, understand your purpose and your principles. And I pray you now, help anything that I've said that was in error, if at all, that you would strike it from record, but those things that are pertinent to your truth and the conveyance of your gospel, let that resonate, let that maturate, let that literally saturate the hearts and souls of those who have an ear to hear, and those of us who desire to no longer set about our own righteousness, but by knowledge of your word, seek yours. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh, who is our Elohim. We thank you, we exalt you, and we praise you forevermore. In the precious name of Yeshua HaMashiach, we all say, Amen.
complicated. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.